Hi folks, I'm Craig Taylor, and as always, a huge thanks for joining me here on my YouTube channel, the Bushcraft Padawan. Before we get started in the video, I just wanted to say that if you're not yet a subscriber and you enjoy this video, if you like the look of my channel and think that it could add value to what you do, then do please click on that subscribe button that's in the bottom right hand corner of your screen right now. If you're already a subscriber, thank you. If you enjoy the video, perhaps you'll consider clicking on that like and share button. Cheers. A few months ago now, in fact it's probably the end of 2018, I came out to this area and I made myself a tripod type bushcraft chair and caught it on camera. That's right, it was the same video where this happened. Yeah, lap it up, lap it up. The chair worked despite what you just saw in that clip there. The chair worked very, very well. It wasn't perfect though. What I'd done was I'd cut the lengths of wood, the branches long enough. I'd crafted the chair, and then because it was quite high up, my legs were dangling in the air, I reduced the lengths of those tripod members to bring my legs lower to the ground. What I hadn't thought about though was that behind my head, the top of the chair, if you like, that was wedged against where the tripod members were crossing. I needed to have dropped it slightly more. I needed to have used a longer piece of cordage to allow the whole chair to drop, not reduce the length of the wooden tripod members themselves. Probably sounds quite complicated listening to it, but basically I got it wrong. And what I want to do today is to come back out, bring the same piece of material with me that I used back in that video and get it right today. And hopefully, fingers crossed, capture me getting it right on camera and not capture it falling apart or slipping out from under me on camera. I have no idea which way this will play out. Let's find out. As you'll see, the area that I'm in has had a lot of felling take place. Some of it by man, some of it by nature, but the reason I've come here to record this video is because there are a lot of very straight, wrist thickness, decent length sizes of pine for me to be able to harvest to help me make and refashion this chair. I did not want to be chopping down perfectly healthy pieces of wood just for the purposes of a YouTube video. So I've come somewhere where there is a lot of dead standing, dead lying, die straight pieces of wood. Here we can see those three uprights that I've just cut. You'll notice how straight they are. You notice that they're all within an inch or two of one another, about the same length as well. They're probably about 8 foot, but to be honest, I would go, if you're not sure, go longer than you think. You can always trim them down once you've got your seat hung and hanging correctly. So I've gone for about 8 foot. I suspect I may need to trim it down. We'll find out though. I'm doing things slightly different here than what I've done in the past when I make a tripod. Normally I lay the 3 tripod members down on the ground and then weave the cordage around it. I often find that it's difficult and you end up picking up debris. You're kind of getting the cordage caught on the ground, you're pulling twigs and leaves through. So what I've decided to do this time around is to actually elevate the whole thing, the whole business end of this tripod off the ground, theoretically making it much easier, quicker and a neater and more efficient job of actually creating the lashings and the bindings. That's the lashings and wrappings and thrappings done, whatever the hell it is. And as you can see behind me, there's my tripod. I'm stood upright, I'm 6'2", so you can see that this rises a foot or so above my head, but don't forget that these uprights that are not upright, they're at an angle. So if I was to bring them in, you can see it's about 8 foot or so above my head. But let's move those back out again into the tripod formation. There we go. Now, it was at this point when I did this project last time, I thought to myself, oh man, this is way too high. And I chopped the legs down, which, as I said earlier, and probably with not a great deal of clarity, it kind of ruins the whole thing. It means that I was hunched up. I couldn't move my head back because it was resting against that, whereas I want my head to be here and for the top of the chair to be suspended with paracord so that I've got nothing against my back, my head or my neck to make me feel uncomfortable, because I like having a nice comfortable sit down in the woods. Who doesn't? Here's my piece of material, the top end of the piece of my material, the bit that's going to be behind my head and my back and my neck. That's the top of it. Through this I've threaded a long loop of paracord and tied it off there. That loop there is probably too much, but again, this is where I went wrong last time, so I'm trying to correct that. So I've now got that cinched up there, loop of paracord over the top of the tripod. I'm probably going to have to lower the tripod to get this over. And I've made sure that I've wedged that. I haven't just thrown it over the top, I've wedged it in between some of the uprights to secure it into place. And there, if I just adjust this slightly, there you can see the chair hanging. And this is exactly where I went wrong last time. This area here where my hand is was the apex of the tripod. Everything, and I had no way to be able to move my head back, my neck back, or sit comfortably. So I've dropped everything this time. I suspect I may have to shorten this loop and raise it up, but it's easier to shorten a piece of cordage than it is to lengthen a piece of cordage when you don't have any more. We've already talked about the loop at the top end of the chair. Let's move our attention to the bottom end of the chair now. You can see there it is, and there is a sleeve, a pocket running all the way through this from one side to the other. That loop, that pocket there. I'm going to thread through this piece of timber here. There we go, you can see that's been threaded through. Now, if I let this drop, and just hang there, if I move the camera down slightly, you'll start to get a sense, and it's far from done, but you can start to get a sense now of how this will form the chair, how if I raise this up slightly and lash it, I now have almost a hammock type chair to sit into. I recall the last time I did this, there was a little bit of configuring that was needed, and I actually think, with the benefit of hindsight, it was at this point where I reduced the height of the overall tripod and screwed things up quite considerably. So I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to keep everything at the length that it is and actually try and adjust things just by moving knots around and adjusting the loops, etc., rather than messing around with the timber, because there's a lot to undo or redo if you get that wrong. If you get a knot wrong, you can just cut another piece of cordage and get it right the second time. I'm sat in the chair. As you can see, it's supporting my weight, but I feel like a toddler on a sofa. My feet are swinging in the air, which means that there's a lot of pressure being put on the back of my thighs here. So what I'm going to do is what I did last time, and I'm going to be more careful. I'm going to trim down each of the 3 uprights, maybe, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 inches, just so my feet can be flat on the floor to ease any sort of strain in the lower back of the thighs, things like that. But at the moment, this is less comfortable than sitting on a stump on the ground. It's less comfortable than sitting on my rucksack, and clearly that's not the purpose of this. So a little bit of hacking to do with the Bahco Laplander, and I think we'll be there. Oh yes, oh yes, that's what I'm talking about. Feet are now flat on the floor. Bum is kind of hooked into the back of this horizontal crossbeam here. Head and back cocooned within this. Yes, very comfy indeed. I think as the day draws on, I may just try moving the rear upright backwards, see what that does to the position, see if it gives it more of a reclined position. But yeah, all in all, very happy with this. Just that small tweak, that small adjustment of taking the 6 or 8 inches off each upright has dropped everything down a little bit, and it's much more comfortable now. Yes, this is the life, right? The last time I was in these woods, I used this very wood gas burner stove to try and burn some pine cones, but the pine cones were wet. It was a damp time of the year. I've just been out again today, same area, and you'll notice that the pine cones, though you can't tell that they feel dry, they certainly do. They're open, they're a lot more exposed to the air. So I've got some pine cones here from the Douglas Fair, Sudotsuga Menziesi, and I'm going to try burning those today along with a little bit of birch bark to try and get things going. Perfect chair setup, hot chocolate on the go, and Tristan Gooley's latest book, or one of his latest books, Wild Signs and Star Paths, that I'm about a third of the way through, enjoying that. Been a productive morning. I was glad that I've revisited this chair. You know, just simple mistakes that I made last time, the value of reflection, and I think that's one of the incredibly valuable things about recording some of the stuff that I do on camera, is I can go back and I can see exactly what I did. I can see my reaction to it. I can see what I used and what the weather was like. I'm not decrying the use of people that use journals and notebooks at all. I still write a lot in mine, but I don't know. I just think that if you can capture it as realistically as it possibly was on the day, then you can go back and you can reflect upon that. That's what prompted me to get back out today and re-attempt this bushcraft chair. Was not the fact that I knew I needed to go and do it. I'd remembered that. It was seeing in the video what I'd done wrong and where I'd gone wrong, literally seeing me make the mistake, that prompted me and I guess emphasised I really should get out and reattempt it. And here we are. It's been up a good hour and a half now. I've parked my backside in it for most of that time, and it's been very, very comfortable indeed.
Have you ever made anything like this? Has this prompted you to sort of think, you know what, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to sort of make a tripod and try and fashion a chair on the tripod? Have you already done it? Do you do it a different way? Let me know in the comments below, wherever you're watching this, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, etc, etc. Do let me know in the comments below. I'm going to crack on drinking this hot chocolate, having a read of this book. You crack on with the rest of the day, and I hope to see you in my next video very, very soon. Cheers.